Oh, yes.
Welcome back, everyone. Today we're taking a look at the brand new Marvel Legends X-Men Animated Series collection, Storm. Storm, like the other figures in this collection, is a cel-shaded, mostly 90s animated series accurate figure. The figure itself is actually more or less a recolor of the 80th anniversary Retro Storm toy. So it'll be very similar to that one. It'll just have some added paint apps to give that cel-shaded look to her. And this toy for me came in alongside Mr. Sinister. And I did the review for Sinister first, and I was hoping to follow up with Storm soon after, but time constraints kind of pushed us back a little bit. But now, I finally have a chance to review her for all of you. That being said, if you've seen my reviews before, you know how this goes. We're going to take a look at Storm's packaging, then we'll open it up. We'll get a really good look at the figure, we'll check out her posability, all her different accessories. Naturally, I'll be doing some group shots and comparisons today, and then at the end of the video, I'll get my final thoughts. So Storm, like the other toys in this collection, comes in a recreation of a VHS cassette cover, and the front of it is done up very much in the styling of what you would see if you were to buy, a several episode VHS tape of a cartoon show back then. So we get Storm featured very prominently here on the front, using her storm powers to channel lightning in her fingertips. You get her name, the X-Men logo. You get the cool little Marvel Comics rectangle. I don't know what you call this. Is it an earmark? I don't know what the actual term for that little bit, in the corner of a comic is. The rectangle with the logo and the face. Marvel staple. I'm sure somebody more comic savvy could actually tell me what the proper term for that is, but I honestly don't know. Having read comics since I was a small child, I have no idea what you call that. So we turn this to the side, and we get a recreation of the side of the VHS packaging. We get like the little icon of the character here. In this case, it's their side profile. You get what's supposed to be like the title of the VHS. And then, a parody of the whole VHS logo down here. This side's the same thing, just with her face reversed. And then on the back, we get to see a render of the figure. So you can see all the deep black cell shading they use to really accentuate the different lines and textures running across her body. She's also got some hands, which are shooting lightning. She's got what I believe is a cloth cape right there. And as far as other accessories, I don't actually know yet, so we'll find out together. Then here we get some flavor text in the form of a movie description or TV show description. And it says, with her weather manipulation powers, Storm can summon lightning across the sky or gentle rain over a parched land. So it's just kind of showing the duality of Storm's powers, right? They could be destructive or they could be nurturing, just like, weather itself. So I think that's a pretty cool write-up. I mean, it's short, but I like how it really just shows the two sides of this character. She can be fearsome or she can be loving. And yeah, that's the packaging. It'll go very well in a display with the other VHS style boxes, and even better if you take those and combine them with that Mojo World box set that's being released through Pulse. You're gonna get like this really nice retro 90s setup that you can have on a shelf or in your living room. I'm looking forward to building that whole thing. It's gonna be pretty cool. Okay, now we get to see Ororo out of her packaging, and we can see she comes with her cape, just pre-attached. She comes packaged with just normal, open, kind of dynamic hands, and then she comes with some extra lightning shooting hands. So taking a quick look at the figure herself, you can see she is just, pretty much a recolor of the regular Storm figure. She's got really big hair. I mean, that takes up most of the bulk of her head right there. Really, really nice face sculpt. I think it's very well done, though the eyes could point a little more toward each other than they do. She's got these really nice kind of just pauldrons that hang out right there. You seem to plug in here to the chest and then just wrap around on back, and they're what the cape is attached to. So you might be able to pop these out and remove entirely. I'm not going to try because I want to break it. Plus, it would just leave you big old holes right there on her shoulder, so I don't know about that. You can see she's got the universal shoulders that have kind of like baggy upper sleeves, then tighter lower sleeves right here. She's got their single bent elbows that rotate. She's got universal wrists. The little cuff things are just separate pieces, which is often the case. And you can see the cape is attached with these little rope-like bits around the wrists. The head is on the ball joint and hinge combo, and the hinge is kind of loose, but not too loose. Now, one thing that really stinks, and I may very possibly be calling for a replacement or something, look at her neck. It looks all sorts of mangled, like the plastic and the paint. She looks like a burn victim right there. Like Freddy Krueger neck going on. Don't think they're supposed to be like that, so I may be seeking a replacement for my copy, Hopefully it's not a widespread issue, but I think I just kind of get hit with the, the QC virus a little bit. All right, the upper torso's on a ball joint, which is often the case. No waist swivel, which again, often the case for female characters. She has universal hips. She's got a high thigh swivel, double bend knees, and your ankle rock and rotation. So pretty standard articulation for a female humanoid Marvel Legends character. And she looks really good overall, QC issue notwithstanding. She easily has the highest level of cell shading, painting going on out of all the releases so far. And it's especially stark because she has an all-white suit with just heavy black lines, like accentuating the peaks and valleys and stuff of her suit. This will make her pretty difficult to fit into like a non-cell shaded collection. Like, you just want to put her with your other X-Men toys that aren't part of this. More so than probably any other entry so far, which is a shame. I think it's a cool touch, and it does very much capture the art style that they used to animate Storm's like outfit and her body and everything during the cartoon. But, people may have mixed feelings about it. You're either going to be thrilled about the cell shading, or you're like, oh, I don't like it, now she clashes. Like, I get that. There is always the non-cell shaded version of this figure that you could go for, though I imagine you'll pay quite a bit more for it. So I can understand, both sides here. All right, now looking at the new hands, you can see the hands themselves are clear plastic, and then the part that actually makes up, the hand is painted roughly skin tone, a little darker than I think the rest. They have this thing going on where like the tips of the fingers, that brown kind of gets broken up and mixed with the yellow, or like the clear yellow, which I guess is to indicate like lightning kind of wrapping around the fingertips, which is fine. But I also have an issue where there's a lot of brown paint spatter on the lightning itself, and you can see it like right here. I'm not sure how well to focus, but you can see, there's areas where there is paint where there shouldn't be, and then potentially areas where there should be paint when there's not. It's hard to tell if that's intentional on the fingertips or not. So yeah, it is a little sloppy, a lot like the paint on the neck, which, a real shame, because an otherwise really nice looking figure so far. Now, talking about these hands, we should go ahead and attach them. Now, I'd exercise a lot of caution. These hands, they're made of regular plastic, but they're very small, very dainty, so I would be very careful when you remove them. Oh, there goes the cuff. So you can see those do come off. Let's see how this fit on there, like that, I think. Like this. There we go. All right. And you will see that the cape will, come off once there's no hand attached, because it just kind of rests on the wrist joint. Now this one you want to be even more careful with, because again, it's all very thin and clear plastic. So push it in as close to the base as you can to minimize stress. You don't want to bend anything or break anything off. So, that looks pretty cool. Sloppy paint aside, we'll do this one. Oops, I gotta be careful and rip the loop right off this thing. All right, get the new hand in there. Kind of thread it through and pop it in. Make sure that the cape isn't like stuck inside the wrist joint, so you can actually move it around. Now you can get Ororo doing something like this, looking really cool, just firing her lightning off, showing off her powers. It makes her much more just action oriented, so I really like that. Now, one thing Storm is known for is flying, and if you are fortunate enough to own some sort of a figure stand or flight stand, we could always do that. So I'm going to pull the camera back a bit, get us a wider view, and I'm going to utilize this. This is the figure stand that came with the deluxe Black Widow figure from the Black Widow movie, and just works as a really nice universal stand. Got a little Hasbro logo on it, all that. Goes up and down, it's got the little capture claw thing. So this will work out really well for Storm. Lift the cape out of the way so it doesn't get pinched. And you just gotta get her up inside the little jaws here. They're spring-loaded, so you have to push against them and really try to avoid getting the cape stuck in there. Might be a little difficult because it's just like slides straight down. There we go. Okay. I do wish it kind of held a little more tightly and she didn't just slide right through down to her, like the bottom of her hips there. But that's what they did. That's what they went with. And she's a little kind of front heavy for this. think that's a shame. I wish this had a little more grounding to it. But yeah, you can get something cool like this. Maybe point her toes, make it look like she's flying around. And now we can get some really, really cool shots of Storm just doing her thing. Flying around, shooting lightning. And again, this stand isn't something the figure comes with, so I can't really give the figure props for having anything like this. It's entirely an external upgrade. But if you do have something like it, it makes her look nice, and will work really well on a shelf so you can have her kind of flying around with her teammates. Now, of course, we had to get a nice group shot with Storm's other animated teammates so far. So we get Wolverine, the first release here, and then the second one, Jubilee. Looking very, very cool in all their cel-shaded glory. And, I mean, honestly, if the background were a little flatter, because admittedly mine's, just a sheet on a table. That's how fancy I am. This would look like a still frame from the cartoon. And, I really appreciate that. They did a really good job sprucing these figures up to make them look like they jumped right out of a Saturday morning cartoon. And I think Storm especially just gets a lot of great highlights to really sell it. We talked about the cel shading on her suit. Something I didn't mention is these lines drawn into the cape to show her supposed to be, kind of folds or wrinkles. I mean, everything about her just comes together to make a very cartoon accurate figure. I think Wolverine more or less succeeds to the same degree in being, cartoon accurate and looking like he came out of the screen. Jubilee, I always felt was a little weaker on the cel shaded appearance. There's just too many tones and everything about her that make her look more real than cartoony, which, again, if you're not going for the cartoon aesthetic, can be a good thing. Like, this Jubilee would look pretty good just mixed in with any old Jim Lee X-Men display. But if you are intentionally going for a cartoon look, I think Storm just pulls it off a lot better. She looks really good like this, and everything about her just pops. The really bright yellows used that, border her outfit and her cape and everything, the deep curvature lines, and then just, the relatively flat colors all around help sell a cartoon look. In fact, the only part of her that's particularly glossy is her lipstick, which that may just be unintentional, just maybe how the paint came out. So overall, I think she is the most believable animated figure to come out so far. I think she just really, really sells that look. And this completes our look at the new Marvel Legends animated series, Storm. I think that this is a great figure overall, both in a general sense and as a representation of a cartoon character. Again, the QC on mine is a bit sloppy. We saw there's some excess paint on the lightning coming from her fingers. And of course, the neck on mine, on the one side, is pretty mangled looking. And I think it's a factory defect. I don't think that's part of the mold itself. I could be wrong. Anyone else out here owns this toy, let me know if you have the same issue. I'll definitely be contacting Hasbro Pulse to see about, getting a new one sent, because it's too ugly of a blemish for me to ignore. Like, I can overlook some things, but that one, I mean, it looks like her neck has just been mangled. Like she's been attacked by a dog or something, So it's just, I don't want to keep this copy, unfortunately. But I figured it was still worth showing you guys, if you can just kind of look past the flaw in mine to see how good this figure is supposed to look, I think you'll see that she's very, very nice looking. I would have preferred, if she had an alternate head. These animated series figures are very hit or miss with that. Some get alternate heads, some don't. But I also kind of see, given how big her head sculpt is, because all that hair, that would be something that's really pushing the budget at the normal price point. Plus, she gets the soft goods cape, which always drives a budget up for an action figure, because that is a fairly expensive thing to make compared to just regular plastic parts. I do like the optional hand, so you can have her shooting lightning, or you can have her just taking a more normal stance. And I do actually really like the cel shading. I do agree that it will make her not blend in well with a standard collection, and I may end up tracking down some other version of Storm someday, just something that's non-cartoon looking to go with this more standard X-Men shelf. But for what it's trying to do, I think it succeeds very, very well. The heavy lines and everything really just sell this idea of a character from a 90s cartoon, so I really like it. And I think that, if you're an X-Men fan, if you're a fan of the character Storm or the old cartoon, I think you'll really like it too, because it is a very quality figure. Of course, that is how I feel about this new Storm, so now I want to know what you all think of this toy. Does she live up to your expectations? Do you think she's one of the better animated series figures to come out of this little subline so far? Or do you not like this? Either you don't like the figure itself, you don't like the paint work, maybe you don't like the accessories chosen. Any and all feedback is always welcome in the comments section. If you enjoyed this review, make sure to toss it a like. Let YouTube know you want to see more stuff like this. If you do want to see more like this, make sure to subscribe, hit that notification bell so you always get a heads up when I post something new. I thank you for joining me for this look at the brand new Marvel Legends X-Men animated series, Storm. And with all that said, I will see you next time.